Work ethic. What is it? What does that mean? What does that word mean to you? When I say work ethic, what's the first thing that you think of? Do you think of your father? Do you think of a coworker? Do you think of a friend? Or do you think of yourself? All right, this is a topic that's not talked about nearly enough, and I think it's something that a lot of people, especially in my generation, are growing more and more detached from. And I don't know exactly what that's a result of, maybe just a sense of entitlement or whatever it happens to be, but I want to talk about how you go about developing a work ethic. And we're going to start at the bottom, and then we're going to work our way up and stagger up from there. And I'm going to tell you how I went about developing my work ethic. So, first thing is obviously you have a job, right? We all need to have some kind of income in order to support ourselves for the most part, all right? And you go to your job, all right? You go to your job, maybe you do an average, exceptional, doesn't really matter. You do your job and then you come home, all right? What is the difference that makes a mediocre performer and a top performer, all right? How are you perceived by management? How are you a manager? What's your performance looking like? It's all those little nuanced factors that really tie into your performance, right? So let's rewind. Let's talk about how your day started, all right? Are you the type of person that wakes up, rolls out of bed at the last possible second, scrambles around the house, you maybe don't even have time to take a shower, get in the car, you're flying to work, you're 5 minutes late, you're stressed out? Is that you? I certainly know a lot of people that are like that. All right? If that's you, I really want you to think about the decisions that you're making. All right? So we're going to start off very fundamental. Let's talk about when you get out of bed. Do you make your bed in the morning? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, I highly recommend you start. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not so much that you're making the bed so that it looks nice, because let's face it, it is technically kind of a waste of time if you think about it, because you're just going to get in and ruin it by the time you get in there at night anyway. But what it's going to do is start to strengthen your mind to do something that you don't want to do. And you're starting that right away the second you wake up. That's the important factor there. So you wake up right away and you're doing something that you don't necessarily want to do. All right, you're embracing being in an uncomfortable position. And it's a very small thing, but that's where we want to start. It's building off of small habits. All right, so now you're at a point where you're actually getting out of bed and you're making your bed. But wait a minute, if you're the type of person that sleeps until the last possible second to get to work, you don't have time to make the bed, right? So what does that mean? That means maybe you need to go to bed a little bit earlier, all right? Fact of the matter is, guys, is the reality of things is that nothing good for the most part happens after 10 o'clock at night. For the most part. I'm not saying not to go out and have fun every once in a while, but if you're the type of person that's staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning and has to be up at 6, stop it. You're wasting your time, you're not utilizing your time efficiently, and you're making your life more difficult. All right? So, let's say you rewind even further. You go to bed at a better time. Now you can wake up a little earlier. All right? So instead of having 5 minutes to get prepared for work, now you maybe have an hour. All right, so what do you do with that hour? You wake up, you make your bed. Maybe you want to read the news. Maybe you want to make yourself a cup of coffee. You are now in a more relaxed state. Immediately. Do you understand that? As opposed to waking up out of bed frantic, running out the door, now you're in a relaxed state. You have time to yourself. You don't need to rush. All right, so now you're starting your day off on the right foot. Your bed's made, you're feeling good, you had your coffee, you get in the shower, you still have a little bit of time. So now what? Now, as you're driving to work, your head isn't polluted with the idea of being late. Now you have the opportunity to fill your mind with how you can go about improving your day. All right? What are you going to do differently today that you did yesterday? What are you going to do to continue striving to achieve better and better results? So you go to work, you do everything that you can to do the best possible job. Now you're probably early at that point, all right, which is noticed by the majority of employers. You get out of work. Now, what do you do from there? Most people go home, maybe eat some dinner, maybe watch Netflix, and then go to bed. No productivity at all, all right? What that does is sets you up for a mediocre life. I'm just going to call it what it is. If you're the type of person that's going in, punching the clock, coming home, you're destined for mediocrity. And if you're anything like me, the idea of living in mediocrity is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. You only get one shot at life. You need to make the absolute most of it. And nothing's going to be handed to you. So you can't stand around waiting for handouts, waiting for things to happen. You need to go out there and make it happen yourself. All right? This is very important. So, when you get out of work, are you watching Netflix? Are you playing video games? Are you hanging out, maybe smoking pot with your friends? What are you doing to further your life? All right? The sooner you can recognize that, the better off that you're going to be, because it'll allow you to make more informed decisions about how you're going to go about utilizing your time. All right? So, I want to talk about when you get out of work now. Okay? You go to work because you need financial stability in your life to pay your bills and live your life, right? When you get home, that's your time. How are you going to use your time? Are you going to continue to work, or are you just going to slack off and stay right here for years on end with minimal advancements? We want to see you make big jumps. I don't want to see tiny little baby steps and you'll be 50 years old by the time you can actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. All right? I don't want to see that. I want to see everybody out there achieve what they want, and I want to see you achieve it in a more condensed time frame so you can enjoy it longer. All right? That's the most important thing here. So, I want you to sit back and really reflect on how you're utilizing your time. Are you sitting there binge watching Netflix? Are you sitting there playing video games all day long? What are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing in your free time? If you sat down and you took the amount of hours in a week, subtracted the amount that you're at work, subtracted your commute, subtracted, let's say you slept 6 to 8 hours a night, run the math, subtracted that, you're left with a handful of hours. If I had you write down what you do with all of that time, I think you would all be very enlightened to see that there's a lot of time that's wasted. Time is by far the most precious commodity that we all have. It is one of the finite things in our lives that is going to run out for all of us. So, what I'm urging you to do is to use your time as effectively as possible. Now, this isn't true for everybody. There is a handful of people out there that just do truly want to work a traditional job, work it for 30 years, retire, and maybe have one and a half kids, house, white picket fence, whatever it happens to be. If that is fulfilling for you, then sure. If you feel comfortable going to work and you think your 9 to 5 job is going to provide that lifestyle for you, all the power to you. But the reality is that there's a lot of people, especially in my generation, that don't have that luxury, that recognize the fact that inflation is the inflation that's on the horizon, and the living to income gap is getting wider and wider and wider. If we don't make and take action ourselves to improve our financial situation, I quite frankly think we're going to be screwed, which is a big reason why I am starting this business in the first place. Because I recognize that, and I also want to maximize my own productivity and give back and help other people recognize these areas where they can improve upon. So when it comes to building out your work ethic, you need to take baby steps. Start with making your bed in the morning. Start with waking up earlier. All right? That'll afford you more time. That'll make your life a little bit easier. And then as you get into a regiment, I recommend you start doing things and embracing discomfort. By embracing discomfort and putting yourself in situations and doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, I promise you that it is going to build a level of discipline that will translate over into your job, your relationships. Every facet of your life will be improved due to the level of discipline that you have. For me, I personally credit a lot of the discipline that I have to going to the gym on a daily basis. All right? And the reason I say that is because I go pretty much every single day. Lately, I've been going twice a day. I do an hour cardio in the morning, and then I weight train at night. All right? And I also work a full-time job on top of this. All right? So, by doing that, all right, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting in the car, half asleep, and going to do an hour of cardio, do you think I really want to do that? Honestly, do you think I genuinely, truly want to do that? Absolutely not. I want to lay in bed until 8 o'clock, get up, mosey around. But I do it. I force myself to get up and force myself into an uncomfortable position because I know that it helps me get that much closer to my goals. And my goals are by far more important than laying in bed until noon. All right, there's things that need to get done. So I like to start my day off that way by getting some cardio in, because it immediately strengthens that muscle and flexes it first thing in the morning, the discipline muscle. All right, so now that I've done that, I work a full day, get out of work, and now I have to go train. Do I want to do that? Some days I do, some days I don't. But I know that on the days that I don't want to go, those are the days I need to go. Okay? If there's a day where I want to go and something comes up, maybe I'll take the day off. Very rarely though. But if there's a day where I'm dreading going in there because I'm so exhausted, I'm depleted, haven't had carbs in 3 days, and just really want to fall on my face from the caloric deficit I put myself in, I force myself to go. Okay? And once again, it flexes that level of discipline. All right? Flexes that muscle in your body, because you're going to encounter situations where you're going to need self-discipline. Maybe it's something simple like somebody says something to you at work, right? And you have to bite your lip. You can't be impulsive. All right? Discipline. So you really need to sit down and think about that when you're developing your own work ethic. What are you doing on a daily basis to put yourself into an uncomfortable position? Are you doing things that you don't necessarily want to do? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Ideally, what I want for every single person out there is to be living their life day to day, doing things that are full of strictly things that they want to do. But in order to get to that point, you have to earn it. It's not given. You don't just get handed a silver platter with an occupation and a bunch of money and say, hey, have fun, do whatever you want. It doesn't happen. You have to put work in. All right? Some folks that are young, you see a lot of young YouTubers, a lot of musicians that start off young, and they end up transitioning into a full career, and they afford themselves those luxuries, but they worked to get there. They worked to get there. All right? And if you're not the type of person that started building a business when you were 15 years old, living at home with mommy and daddy, well, we got some work to do, right? We need to pick up the slack. We need to make up for that kind of time. All right? If you're the type of person that is still living with your parents, take advantage of that. Seriously, take advantage of that, exploit the savings there, and take the additional time and money and invest it into something that you enjoy. All right? But none of this is going to come for free. It's going to come from discipline, motivation, and developed work ethic that happens over time. So take those baby steps, boys and girls. Stagger on top of it. Keep growing and growing and growing until your mind is made of steel, to the point where you can put yourself in those uncomfortable positions, not worry about anything, and keep steamrolling ahead. Because ultimately, that's what's going to get you to your goals. It's not going to be a linear path. It's going to be highs, lows. It's a roller coaster of life that we all are on, okay? It's a ride. But you can control that trajectory by having a solid work ethic, by putting the work in. So I want you guys to think about that. How's your work ethic? Does it need improvement? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But hopefully I got your wheels turning. Thank you so much for listening to the video. As always, guys, please comment, like, subscribe. Feel free to visit my website, RTBTransformations.com. I do offer personal fitness coaching as well as personal development plans. Please feel free to reach out for a free consultation if you are interested. And with that, I'm out.